All right, welcome back. We're going to look at the week 3 slides and do a couple exercises out of them. In my infinite wisdom, I sort of scattered questions all throughout the slides, so we'll bounce around a little bit. I'm skipping all of the TR review, so there's a couple of videos on that already. If you need more TR review, send me an email. Let's start with the ASAD stuff, the new stuff, okay? So we're given these equations. We're given that, pi is equal to the expectation of future inflation plus this function. It's not a function. Actually, yeah, this is just the letter f. This is something that came up in TD. So this is f times u minus u bar plus this supply shock. And then we have u minus u bar is equal to g times y. Okay, and then we're asked the names of these equations. So the names, this one's, I think, easier. This is just the Phillips curve. That's maybe more famous. And then this one is Oken's law. These are all in Bohr and Whiplash, the readings. If you just check the reading PDF for week 3, you'll find explanations of these. But yes, these are their names. Interpretations, we have u bar. So u minus u bar, anytime we have a bar, so you'll see like y minus y bar, and you'll call like y bar is the natural rate of growth. Yeah. Or it's like the long-term trend, the long-term growth trend. The intuition is that if you actually look at GDP, yeah, and you have, years down here, and you have GDP here, which I guess we can just call it Y, it's, it looks like this. It's just like an exponential curve, and there's not a lot of variation there. You look at that and think, like, what are we modeling? So what people do is they fit some kind of curve here, right, and subtract it out of the data. So you find this curve, and you call that curve y bar. So this arrow here is going to be equal to, and there's like a little bit of wiggle in here, okay? There's like, it looks like this. Okay, so this wiggly thing is equal to some smooth thing plus some wiggly thing, right? And we're going to say that this thing is y, this thing is y bar. Okay, so just this wiggle is y minus y bar. Yeah, and so this is what we're doing when we're looking at variables like this. We're subtracting out this long-term trend to get this wiggly variation that doesn't go up over time. So you can do the same thing for u. Okay, why am I talking about this? Because anytime we see this this variable bar being subtracted, we can think about a long-term trend or a natural level, some kind of underlying non-zero value. Yeah. So for u bar, it just has exactly the same interpretation. It's going to be the natural rate of unemployment. The natural rate of unemployment. Okay. So even if the economy is at full capacity, there's still some level of unemployment. That's u bar. Pi, expectation of pi, I sort of mentioned this in passing, that this was the expectation of future inflation. When you have expectations like this, you should always ask expectations of who, and it's not super clear in this model. I don't have an answer for you, but that's like a criticism, right? If you read Bohr and Whiplash, it's sort of like a composite between workers, who are the households, and the firms. So it's kind of like a compromise between everybody's. When you read macro models, you should always ask, who is doing the expecting. And then we ask about this guy here, and this was the supply shock. And just remember that the canonical example of a supply shock is energy prices, right? Because this was introduced into macro models in response to stagflation in the 1970s. Because the Keynesian models at the time, the ISTR models, couldn't explain why we had simultaneously high unemployment and low growth. That's not supposed to be possible. The Phillips curve is supposed to give us a trade-off between unemployment and inflation. But then you had, I said low growth, I meant high inflation. You have high inflation and high unemployment. It's not supposed to be possible. Okay, so the next question asks us to what space are the ASAD curves drawn? It's just asking us to think about how to put these equations together. So before, okay, so in the ISTR land, we put it on y and I, yeah? And then now we're just going to switch this I to pi. Okay, so we're just going to, instead of thinking about interest rates, we're going to think directly about the price level. So the space is y pi space. Okay, and then it asks us to put the equations together to actually get the AS curve. And since we want an equation, this implies that we want pi is equal to a function of y. Yeah, so all we need to do is get a y into this equation, get a y to the Phillips curve. So I see a way to do it. We just take this and put it right here. Okay, abandon my Halloween orange. So we're going to have pi is equal to the expectation of pi plus fg y plus epsilon pi. And that is the AS curve. Okay, and that's it. So in the next video, I'll look at another slide. So I'll see you there.